Our next session will explore how online and offline retail models are emerging on the back of technology and driving digitalization for millions of businesses. I'd like to welcome Gauri Gokhale, partner Nishit Desai, Chetan Krishnaswamy, Vice President Public Policy, Amazon. This discussion will be moderated by Ramesh Abhishek, former Secretary at the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade for the Ministry of Commerce and Industry.
So we are start to discuss this very important subject of how e-commerce looks like in the coming years. As we all know, e-commerce is growing very fast. There are estimates by IBF that a $46 billion sector is going to be roughly $111 billion US dollars size of sector in year 2025 and something like $300 billion plus in the year 2030. And today, we see massive use of technology at every point in the supply chain. We see massive digitization. We see massive, all kind of latest technologies being used in the e-commerce space. So I think as we go ahead, we see more and more convergence between offline and online retail. So this is such an exciting trend for sellers in the market, for consumers, and for the overall economy. So let me first, we have two very eminent panelists today, Chetan Krishnaswamy, Vice President Public Policy at Amazon, and Gauri Gokhale, partner in Nishit Desai Associates. I'll first invite Chetan to make some opening remarks, and then Gauri, and then we have a couple of questions, and if time permits, we can take a couple of Q&A at the end. Chetan, your turn.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Abhishek. Wonderful being here, and thanks to Carnegie for putting the show together. I think I'll just take a couple of minutes to provide some sort of a context on what the retail sector is all about in India. And of course, the newfound energy and buoyancy in the e-commerce sector would obviously be our primary agenda for the evening. And the retail sector, as all of us are aware, is an important contributor to the nation's economy and constitutes almost 10% of India's GDP and provides employment to nearly 40 million people. And in the last decade alone, the market size of India has grown threefold, which is phenomenal. And interestingly, the retail sector has been a mishmash of formats. Historically, the Indian retail sector has been, uneven in many areas, but essentially, the retail evolution spans across three phases. Phase one would perhaps be where we saw our neighborhood stores and kiranas catering to the needs of customers. Second phase is the emergence of modern retail. The third transformation is perhaps this huge belief in online selling. And the fourth phase, which we are currently experiencing, would be one where there would be omni-channel retail, there would be blurring of lines between online and offline. And that, as you rightly put, is an exciting sort of phenomenon, which we will see in the coming days. And again, there would be absolute seamless integration of online and offline methods of retail in a way that they are not considered as separate, divorced limbs of retail, but are seen as an organic whole. The other, I think, interesting trend that we will be seeing is social e-commerce playing an extremely important role, where social media platforms will be used to make more personalized, will see more targeted in-app experience for customers. And undoubtedly, as all of us are aware, the pandemic has really hastened the process of digitization and is catering to sudden shifts in consumer demands and causing major disruptions in supply chain networks. Also, I think, I'd like to just quickly end my sort of monologue by saying that let's not forget that online retail or e-commerce today constitutes just about 3-4% of the overall Indian retail market. And this is one big sort of statistic that India's policymakers need to keep in mind, even as they look at coming in with sort of policies to enable and also in many ways limit the proliferation of digital retail. So I'll stop here and then take on questions going forward. So over to you, Mr. Abhishek.
Thank you, Chetan. Thank you. And Gauri, some brief opening remarks from you also.
Sure. So I completely echo, what Chetan said. I'll just add a couple of additional flavors to that. I completely agree that we should stop saying that e-commerce as a separate, animal. It's a commerce. It's a retail. And one part of the puzzle is e-commerce if we have to look at the holistic growth in the country. The second comment I want to make is that we have seen tremendous entry of the startups in the last couple of years, whether on the technology side, which are enabling the businesses to reach the consumers directly. So there are multiple apps available out there where I don't need a marketplace as a seller, but I'm able to reach the consumer directly by creating my online presence. So that is another phenomenon we have seen in the recent past. The third, more important thing, whenever we are looking at any growth in India or a policy, as Chetan mentioned, we have to always remember that India is not just one country. There are 4 Indias if we really see in terms of the theme of today's conversation is also inclusiveness, right? So when we are looking at India and we are looking at a broad vision, we always need to keep this, sort of division in mind and then create a holistic picture, for growth. I know we have, very interesting topics coming up. So back to you, Mr. Abhishek.
Yeah, thank you, Gauri. I really like what you said about retail, that e-commerce should not be treated totally different. I mean, it's just a part of retail, is one type of retail. So that's very important. And as all of us know, the government policies and regulations play a very important role in growth of any sector. That gives comfort to consumers, that gives level playing field to all the players. So Gauri, if I can ask you, what is the importance of e-commerce policy and regulatory landscape, especially in the context of inclusiveness?
So when we look at inclusiveness, and there are various, reports in the recent past I've had a, had a look at. So if you see the last couple of decades when we have landed today in terms of e-commerce, when we talk about inclusiveness, what are the various facets? Let's first, quickly glance through that. One is the access to infrastructure, digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure, logistics, access to digital payment, access to data. Second is the supply side and the demand side. So on the supply side, obviously, there are multiple players, SMEs, startups, sort of inclusiveness of that, as also the consumer side. When we talk about both of these, you talk about size, gender inclusiveness, skills inclusiveness, are there, barriers to entry, for either the consumer or the supplier, right? So all these elements, play a role. The other thing is innovation, the types of goods and services that we are talking about, just the variety of that, and including all of that, and of course the inclusive in terms of employment opportunities. And last but not the least, the stakeholder who doesn't have a voice is the environment, right? So that in my mind also has equal stakeholder in the entire scheme that we see. Now, when we talk about inclusiveness of all these elements, when you talk about policy and regulatory landscape, sometimes what happens is the market develops in a particular way. What policy and regulatory landscape should try to do is enable that development, as also help in course correction, acceleration, and steering in a particular way, so that the inclusiveness is achieved. For example, can you, for the traditional players, are you giving incentives to move towards more inclusiveness? Are you giving subsidies? Are you creating PPP type of programs? So all these things, what policy and regulatory landscape should do is not create hurdles, but achieve all of this. And for that, you need to have a clear vision and mission for a retail market as a whole, as also a blueprint, for growth as a part of the policy. So what this will achieve is to look at each and every stakeholder and then create that inclusive picture in that blueprint rather than going piecemeal, right? So I think that is the broad framework I can visualize based on, whatever studies I've seen. So what you're really doing with this policy is wherever there are gaps for inclusiveness, you're creating an ecosystem or an environment so that the market itself tries to fill that gap rather than making it like a prescriptive mechanism, right? So that is the way I'm looking at a policy or a regulatory, engagement.
Thank you, Gauri. That's very interesting. Uh, Chetan, you talked about convergence of offline online. So, what do you think? How are we going to achieve this in practice? This retail 4.0, and what, in your opinion, are the barriers that sellers face in going online?
Sure. The one very interesting trend that we should take note of is that, there's a lot of energy emanating from the tier 2, tier 3 cities. In fact, in terms of e-commerce volumes, they are outstripping and outpacing the tier 1 regions, right? So there's a discernible shift happening there. On the Amazon platform, for instance, since Jan 2020, we've had about 4.5 lakh new sellers come in. So today we are a marketplace with about 10 lakh sellers, a million sellers. And these 4.5, 70% come from the smaller towns and cities of India. And it's been, gratifying to see these entrepreneurs, come up with new products and new offerings and are able to cater to consumer and customer tastes across the length and breadth of the country. And slow but steadily, they're also looking at the exports market, right? And platforms like Amazon facilitate this, the export trade to sort of happen in a brisk manner. So I think there are 2 or 3 very important points that all of us need to consider. One, I think you can't have a perpetually acrimonious relationship with the offline world, right? So I think there is a need for us to come together, the online, offline ecosystems to come together and become joint partners in this sort of journey, right? And we need various stakeholders to really facilitate the coming together of these ecosystems and create perhaps a Bharat model of retail, which is possible. This is a government that has always thought in novel terms. So I think there is a unique Bharat 4.0 which can be put together, which can be sort of crafted. And also there is obviously a huge responsibility and accountability on the part of e-commerce entities to ensure that they're able to transfer knowledge, share best practices with the neighborhood stores, with the large offline trader ecosystem. That is very, very important. And we need to take a few steps, and our friends on the other side need to sort of come in with sort of equal sincerity. So that is one issue. The second point is considering that almost 90% of the 10 lakh sellers on the Amazon platform, for instance, are small businesses. There is a need for government to put in place policies that handhold these small businesses to really reinvent themselves in the new sort of era, if I can call it that, right? And as I said, we have a responsibility as a large e-commerce entity. The government has a responsibility in ensuring that there are policies that are sort of progressive, policies that are consistent more than anything else. Considering that now you will see an omni-channel landscape taking shape, there needs to be policies that are consistent across both the worlds, right? And they need to be kind of seamless because the differentiation and the lines are blurring, as I said earlier. So that would be important. There are other, seemingly minor problems like GST registration for an offline trader to sort of migrate to the digital. If he has a threshold of 40 lakhs of rupees, he needs to have a GST registration. Now, if he decides to sell in a state with inventory, he will have to have a establishment, a physical establishment, and this applies to every single state that he wants to do business in. So there are challenges, of course, for this to happen, this migration to happen, and the need of the hour is for the entire set of stakeholders and ecosystems to come together and look in a direction where we would all be partners in creating a Bharat 4.0 model, right? I think that should be the mantra as we go forward.
Thank you, Chetan. I have also always felt that online and offline must work together to make it's a win-win situation for everyone, also for the entire retail sector. We don't have too much time left, but if you can just add, Chetan, to what you have said, that what could be the e-commerce platform's contribution to making this retail 4.0 more inclusive and sustainable? If you can briefly touch upon that.
So, our understanding of the supply chain network, our adoption of technology, infusion of technology in any sector brings with it inclusivity, brings with it sustainability, brings with it resilience, right? So there is a need for us to share knowledge. Knowledge sharing, I think, is critical, and we have a big role to play there. There is a need to also take a science-based approach, a technology-based approach while doing business. It could be in terms of carbon neutrality. It could be in terms of building efficiencies in delivering a product to your customer. It could be in also facilitating an export, a thriving export business, right? As I said earlier, we have seen a huge spurt in our sort of exports business. In 2015, when we launched the business, it took us 3 years to hit $1 billion. The second billion came in 18 months, and the third billion came in less than 1 year. So that is the kind of potential that exists in India. And these are, Ayurvedic soaps manufactured in Cuttack, environment-friendly plates manufactured in Bastar, ikat saris hand-woven by weavers from Orissa, Madhubani paintings from Bihar. So all of these are huge sort of export offerings. And we are seeing a growing trend in that direction. So, there are many ways in which we can facilitate the evolution of, the new Bharat 4.0 model, I would think.
Thank you, Chetan. I think we just have a minute left, perhaps. Gauri, if you can also touch upon the subject of this distinction between retail and offline and online model of retail, whether it makes too much sense looking at this context of retail 4.0.
No, I don't believe. That's why I started by saying that let's look at commerce and retail as a whole sector. And I completely agree to what Chetan said. I'll just quickly add. I think our policy should be empirical data based. The center and the state should work together in terms of enabling the sellers, because what we really need is handholding of the sellers at the grassroots level, and creating literacy amongst the seller to have that access. And what I feel is if we can have a co-regulatory model and not a prescriptive model, where the businesses can innovate, can have a self-regulation with a principle-based approach, I think that is what will drive the further innovation right up to the startup level. And thereby, the people will be more motivated to sort of work together rather than saying, oh, I'm a part of e-commerce and this is the law that will apply to me. Let's not distinguish. Let us all work together and have a broad consumer protection law, whether it is competition law. Let us look at it as a combined sector. Automatically, the confusion, in the market will go away. So and as I said, it will create healthy, environment and competition for them to work together. that should be the blueprint going forward and not a divisive approach, as Chetan said.
Let me just take a quick question. That's for Chetan. What will happen in 2030? Will the corner shops will be still around with all this e-commerce growing? So that's a question that has come from audience. Chetan, you want to take that?
Yeah, I could give it a shot. So, going by current statistics, the $800 billion business today is expected to grow to 1.5 trillion by 2030, bringing, generating employment of about 25 million additional, in addition to the 40 million that exists today. So, and my belief is that, there would be various models that would emerge, some of it still in the nascent stage, some of it still, on the drawing board. And we will see neighborhood stores continue to thrive in our country. We will see them also work in tandem, work closely with large e-commerce entities. We don't have the luxury of time, but I can reel out 5 or 6 initiatives that Amazon has in place, which has seen a tremendous amount of synergy and camaraderie that has come in between the offline neighborhood stores. We have something called as local shops. We launched it in January 20th, and in January 2020, and we already have 100,000 stores, selling on our platform. And this is only going to grow. So this synergy is only going to grow. And I see no reason why, our friendly neighborhood store or Kirana would be completely sort of, decimated or eliminated. I think this will continue.
Thank you, Chetan. Thank you, Gauri. This was very interesting, very informative. I think we government, everybody should work towards making retail 4.0 a reality to help the consumers, sellers, and the economy, employment, everything. And we have to leverage technology to the best advantage for everyone. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, audience and Carnegie India for this opportunity.